So I just got done watching Watch's trailer, and I gotta say, it was a masterpiece from the very beginning to the very end. He's a very mysterious man, and I'm really interested to seeing the story that they develop for Luwacha, his kind of place in the story. I'm really interested in following up with it, and I hope it answers a lot of questions. With the golden boy that is known as Luwacha on the way, we will finally have the full imaginary team composition. Quantum Mains, what a time to be alive, am I right? We understand that the weakness break effect for the imaginary element is extremely strong. You delay the enemy's action and you reduce their speed. The speed reduction is something that is very strong and very prevalent in turn-based games. If it's your turn and you have a high enough speed, you will go before the enemy. So being able to delay the enemy's action and reduce their speed is going to allow you to essentially maybe cut the enemy entirely and get another turn before they get their first turn, depending on the speed of your characters. The first character that comes to mind that is very synergistic with the imaginary element as a whole is Well. He is probably going to be the best character to pair with the imaginary, he is imaginary, I don't know why I'm saying that. He's going to be the best character to use for your imaginary team comps going forward, or whenever the enemy has an imaginary weakness. Let me explain. Being able to put a speed reduction on the enemy is very valuable. Lower speed for the enemy means you have more speed. More speed means you can maybe cut the enemy entirely and get another turn before they get their first turn, depending on your speed and the enemy's speed. Whenever you're fighting just one enemy, you get a lot of value with this skill because you have 3 chances to reduce the base speed of that enemy. That's going to be extremely strong because if you take it to consideration, every chance you can get when it comes to landing a debuff on the enemy makes the skill much more valuable. And if you have access to one of his Eidolons, you will get another chance at lowering the speed of the enemy because he gets an additional hit on his elemental skill. So Welt's ultimate allows him to imprison enemies, which pretty much means you get the weakness break effect of the imaginary element by just using his ultimate. Without even breaking their weakness, you just get the weakness break effect, which is pretty strong. So you delay their actions and you reduce their speed. This is very valuable because it has a lot of synergy with the imaginary element because you can essentially double down on the action delay with the ultimate and the weakness break effect of the imaginary element and the speed reduction as well. Because we understand that debuffs in this game stack, then they're additive, if that makes sense. While having access to increasing the damage that the targets receive by 12% is very, very strong. This was a change that Welt received at the end of the CBT to the launch of the game that makes this character a lot more valuable as a sub-DPS supporter character. When you think of Imaginary, you think of Welt because he has the best synergy with the element as a whole. This character essentially gets to double dip with the action delay and the speed reductions from his kit with the weakness break effect of the element. So he is going to be a very essential part in the imaginary team comp and the mono imaginary team comp we're going to explain in this video. So in the previous video, we touched bases on Yukong. We understand that she is going to be a very invaluable character from the Harmony Path. I'm really excited to obtaining this character in my account because I cannot wait to use her with Seal. But what if I told you that Yukong is going to have a lot of value in this imaginary mono composition? You see, with a character that is buffing attack, crit damage, and crit rate, you will find a lot of value using her with your characters that you probably built with other stats and not necessarily attack, crit damage, and crit rate. For a character that is able to buff those stats and be of the element to take advantage of the weakness break effect of Imaginary, she's going to be a very good character in that mono composition. We also touch bases on Luwacha as well. We understand that he is going to be the best abundance option in the game at this point. Being able to remove debuffs from the allies is going to be really good. Being able to remove buffs from the enemy is also extremely good, while giving a ton of healing at that, and with him being an attack scaling healer, you're going to find him very fun to use with Yukong. And the reason why I say that is because Yukong buffs attack, crit rate, and crit damage. And with her being an imaginary character, when you put these two characters together, you're going to have a very fun and very enjoyable team composition. And also, if you take into consideration the imaginary element as a whole, and with Welt's synergy in that element, you're going to have all these characters that essentially have a vital part in the team composition. But we're only missing one part to the puzzle here. Let me explain. Silverwolf is going to be that last puzzle piece. If you have this character, you're able to abuse the fact that she can put a random element from your team composition to the enemy. It's not so random, but we have to also take into consideration if you have her in the team composition, you're going to either have a 50% chance of getting the quantum or getting the imaginary element. So that's why I say it's random. But in actuality, being able to take that element from your team and put that to the enemy and thus giving the enemy imaginary weakness is going to allow her to be a part of that imaginary team composition. Because we all understand the value that Silverwolf brings to the table as a 5-star support Nihility character. Now, we've made plenty of videos on this character and we understand how strong she is. We literally compared her to the Kazuha of Genshin Impact. That's no joke, and I think that's a very strong assumption. But based off of all of the testing that has been done in the game currently, and the fact that she's a very valuable character for every DPS character in the game, you understand why I said she was the Kazuha of Honkai Star Rail. So when Silverwolf is then putting that imaginary weakness on the enemy, it's going to allow you to weakness break the enemy for the imaginary element, so you can get the delay action and the reduction of the speed whenever you break the weakness of the enemy. Also take into consideration, you will lower the resistance of the enemy's imaginary resistances, which is very good for a team that is centered around buffing the element. You also shred the enemy's defense for 3 turns, which is going to be extremely good. So good that is going to be a very crucial part in fighting those enemies that have a lot of defenses and a lot of higher stats. We also understand that Silverwolf has a reduction of speed in her kit, so you can put the reduction speed onto the enemy, which is going to stack with the speed reductions you have from your welt and the speed reductions you also have from the imaginary weakness break element. So you're going to delay their actions and you're going to essentially have a chance to put 3 speed reductions on the enemy, which is going to be extremely strong. But we also understand that the reductions of speeds, or the debuffs we should say, all are additive with one another. So that's why there is a lot of synergy to be had with Silverwolf in the composition of Mono Imaginary. But I can go on and on and on about Bronny Jr. She is extremely good and a very valuable character. I'm so sad that I'm personally skipping this character, and I can't imagine being a part of the crew that is skipping her, because she's going to be a very crucial part and essentially having any team composition you want to have in the future. I'm going to cry. I'm actually going to cry. So you have your 2 supporter options, which is going to be Silverwolf and Welt. These are going to be 2 very important characters to have in a team comp, because you're going to make sure that you only have imaginary characters in the team, and you also have Silverwolf, who is going to put the weakness of the imaginary element onto the enemy. You will soon have your abundance option, which is going to be Luwacha, who will join the cast of other abundance characters featuring Bailu and Natasha. And then you'll soon have Yukong, who is going to be a very important buffer to have in a team comp, because she buffs attack, crit rate, and crit damage, which is going to be very important for your hybrid Luwacha builds, your DPS Welt builds, and your Silverwolf as well. So there you have it. Not every team composition on Honkai Star Rail that we come up with should be a comp that is going to break the game, be meta, and be the best composition you can play with in the game currently. No one is saying that, but I do believe that is going to be a very fun composition to play with, and is going to feel very enjoyable for those of you that have all of those characters. Maybe you lost your 50-50 on Welt, and you're going to be rolling for Luwacha because you like husbando characters. Maybe you lost your 50-50 on Welt, and you honestly want to play with the composition of imaginary mono, which is going to be very fun. And the synergy that all these characters have together is going to be something that I don't think we've seen in this game yet. Maybe mono quantum on the way, but that's who knows how long into the future. I stream on Twitch, twitch.tv/Toshio. The link will be in the description. Honestly, let me know if you're excited to try out this mono imaginary team comp. I wish I could, but I am broke as a joke. Thank you for watching, and have a nice weekend. Peace.